This is one of the best radar detectors on the market. Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm outside with the Escort Max360c. This is a really nice radar detector, but it's really hard to film in my car and it's really bright. So let's go inside and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Man, it's bright outside. I don't know what the deal is with the weather, but it is warm and incredibly bright, and that makes it really hard to shoot in my car. So we're going to talk about the Escort here. Now, first off, let me show you this. This is a really nice radar detector, and it is a 360-degree coverage. So if we look at a close-up of the front, you'll immediately notice there are 4 directional arrows. This is a big win because when you get lazed or otherwise have a radar pointing at you, then knowing where it's coming from can be really helpful. Is it in front of you? Is it behind you? Is it off to a side when you're on a 1-lane road, in which case probably it's something else? So that's really helpful. Now, on the top, you can see there are a number of different buttons to make this highly functional, including being able to adjust the sensitivity, power. You can mark a spot if you want to remember it next time you're in the area. You can change the brightness on the screen, and you can mute what's going on, and you can do volume up and down. But the mute is much more useful on the actual power cord. So what I'm going to do is, as I talk, I'm going to just slide in some photos from this in action. So you can see that the smart cord actually has this great feature where there's another USB plug right there. So you can still charge your phone while using this, which is great. I really find it frustrating where you have one or the other. This lets you do both. And then the green light is on when it's powered up, and the red light comes on when there's actually something to tell you about or something to warn you about. And there's a duplicate mute button right on the base, which I find way more convenient. In fact, I don't really touch any of these buttons at all because there's an app that you pair it with, and that app not only gives you live updates and all sorts of useful stuff, but it also lets you change the settings, which I find much more useful, and it has a ton more settings than just these buttons. It's a very configurable device. It's also Wi-Fi enabled, and that gives you the Defender database, which gives you then the ability to have updates. So you can connect it to your phone Wi-Fi or directly to your car if your car has built-in Wi-Fi. Bluetooth, GPS, that full 360-degree detection, and it features Escort Live, which is really the win to having it paired with your phone, because then you're getting updates, and Escort Live gets 100 million point updates a year, and it's a community thing. So if you are near and you notice a cop sitting there with a speed trap, then mark it, and then other people that maybe are just a little ways behind you will know that's coming. So nice. So it's real-time community alerts, red light cameras, speed cameras, all of that will be warned, and it's great. You can use the app, you can look at your phone screen, or you can just let this give you all the updates. That's fine. This also has what they call auto learn with an IVT filter, and it's a little confusing because IVT is in-vehicle technology, but that would be how you would expect a radar detector to work, right? So this actually, the point is that this actually learns what's going on. So if you drive the same area all the time, you can start to tell it, hey, that's not a real alert, and then next time it won't flag it. And most importantly, it already has really sharp filtering so that you don't get the false alerts from adaptive cruise control. Because if you think about it, when you have a car with adaptive cruise control, it's basically using a radar detector to figure out how far in front the other car is. So there's so much more radar data on the highway nowadays than there was 20 years ago. That's why you need better and better filtering systems. Now, as I said, you have this that plugs into your 12-volt, also known as cigarette lighter, and then this is basically like a phone jack. So you just plug it in to the side here, and you're good to go. It includes this suction mount, and this is pretty slick. So you put it on your window, and then you close that, and that gives you really good suction, which is good because it's actually a magnet. So basically, let's see, I guess I'm doing it backwards. So basically it's like that. And you can see that is pretty solid on there. You're going to be going over some pretty bumpy roads and this detector isn't going to fall out. But when you get to your destination, you can pop it off and you can put it safely in your dashboard without worrying about people looking in and saying, ooh, that is something worth breaking into your car to take. So don't leave this on your dashboard unless you want it to be taken. So you can also do a hardwired connection if you want. There's an Escort dash mount system that this is compatible with. But generally speaking, I just really like that it's just super easy to work with. And I have had a couple of issues with this stickiness, but if you have any issues, it's probably dust on the rubber portion. So just lick your finger and get it clean, or use a tissue or a wet rag, let it dry, and then put it on again, and you'll find that it'll work just fine. And as I said, I generally just leave this on my windshield. Now, as it happens, I just finished a 3,000 mile road trip. Yes, 3,000 miles. It's a lot of darn driving. And that entire time we relied on this to make sure we weren't going to get tagged by an officer of the law in the middle of nowhere in Kansas or Illinois or Indiana or Ohio. We sort of drove around a lot. And it worked really, really well. There were some times that I came over a hill and there was a cop sitting there and this didn't detect anything even as we passed, but it's only going to detect if they're actually doing the radar system, right? So if they're sitting there just watching the cars go by and saying, that one was really fast, let me give them a quick zap. So it's not going to be able to detect that. But we found it was really reliable when we were in urban areas like Cleveland or Indianapolis. We just turned it off because when you're in a really urban environment, it does seem to get some false hits on doors and other cars and who knows what the heck else. All I know is that we'd be driving down a road with tall buildings on both sides and then this thing would start going off and we'd never see a police officer. So don't know that that actually is its case, but really these kind of things are for highway driving in my opinion anyway. And let's see, what else can I tell you is that we also had the challenge during our drive to catch video so you could experience this in action. And it's incredibly hard to do this. I just want to say this is that number one, the refresh rate on my camera in video mode is almost exactly the refresh rate of the screen. So you get these sort of photos. So that's really frustrating. And of course, as soon as you start videotaping, then my phone is doing this as we're driving. So I apologize, this is pretty rough footage, but listen, you can hear what it gives you as the audio feedback when it detects something. Obviously, the most important thing is that you then immediately say, oh, well, let me look and see, am I at speed for this speed limit? Am I above it? Do I need to slow down? You can immediately respond, which gives you that edge. Now, I know some of you are saying, how can this be legal? And the answer is, it is legal, actually, everywhere but in the state of Virginia and in the District of Columbia. So if you're right around Washington, D.C. or something, then you're going to have to pay attention to what state you're in. But everywhere else in the United States, you are good to go with this. And if you're driving through Wyoming or Montana or Utah or something like that, where it's just like 80-mile-an-hour highways that are perfectly straight for 300 miles, this is a godsend because you really don't want to drive just the speed limit. You want to like go up a little bit and then have a little bit of a protective net. That's exactly what this offers. So this is a very spendy device, but the cost of a ticket can easily be the same as the price of this device. And then you have points on your license. You got all sorts of hassles. You have to deal with the local police, which might or might not be a pleasant experience. So we do need to talk about the price. Now, let me tell you the size real quick. It's 5.4 inches by 3.6 inches by 1.4 inches thick. It is light enough that your children can put it on to the windshield mount, and then you can explain to them why you have it. It's a whole nother discussion. But we do need to talk about the price. Before I get to the price, I'm going to ask if you could subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate when you do that. It's just a click or a tap on that subscribe button and give me some feedback. It's always tricky to review radar detectors because, you know, it's so hard to capture that footage, and obviously you need at least one other person in the car, because I did not try to catch any footage or take any photos while I was driving. I had a second driver, and that's complicated. So let me know what else you wish I would have included in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you found this of value, which brings us to the price. This is the Escort Max360c, and it is $649.95 at Amazon.com. More or less, the Escort Max360, minus the letter C, takes away the Wi-Fi, takes away the automatic updates and everything, and drops the price not insignificantly. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, I would really like a sharp radar detector that has like directionality and 360-degree coverage and live updates and all that sort of stuff, but I really don't want to pay the premium price for the Wi-Fi, then check out the Max360. I've used that too. I like having radar detectors. I don't generally speed. I haven't had a speeding ticket in years, but if I am on a long haul, I like to be able to go faster, and I like to know in advance when I'm just about to pass someone of the law enforcement persuasion, because I would rather slow down and have invested in this than have to explain to them why I was going 15 miles an hour over the limit. You can decide for yourself. That's all I got. I'm really glad to be home for my road trip, and I hope on your next road trip you consider one of these. So, that's it, and I'll catch you in my next video.